Namaste, everybody. So this is a recording of intermediate level mat yoga that you can use as a practice video while I am away traveling. So we'll begin seated in Sukhasana. And if your hips or low back are troublesome for you, you're uncomfortable sitting flat on the floor, what I always suggest is to use your yoga blanket and fold it to whatever height you may need. If you have a lot of tightness in your hips, you may want to fold it up to a kind of a cushion or just a little fold, and put your buttock bones, the ischial tuberosity bones, the bottom of the pelvic bones, right onto the folded edge of that blanket. And then have your two yoga blocks handy. If you have a lot of tightness in your hip joints and your knees are kind of up like this, you can also take the yoga blocks and place them underneath your legs for a little added support. Right, so if you're not going to use them, they'll be right up at the front of your yoga mat, as well having your 10-foot long yoga belt handy. I've taught you all already about the use of the 10-foot long yoga belts when you're seated in Sukhasana. So folding the loop in half and taking that behind your back. The two loops will come forward, and then they can just slip over your knees to give you that added support for your seated opening meditation time. Just like so. All right, with all that, we will begin. The pubic bone in the front of the pelvis is going to be anchoring downward toward the floor. And flex into the ankles so that your toes are pointed directly forward and the outer edges of the feet will be making contact with your yoga mat. And the outer calves of each leg will be resting into the instep of the opposite foot. The thumb and forefinger draw to Yana Mudra. And then we turn the palms up and place the backs of the hands onto your knees, and then close the eyes. Closing the eyes, we initiate one of the 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, Pratyahara, the withdrawing of the senses or the controlling of the senses. So we eliminate the sense of sight and tune into the feeling sense, connecting your awareness to the places that are touching the earth. The buttock bones at the bottom of the pelvis, the outer edges of the feet. And allow those places in the body to feel heavy and grounded, anchoring down and into the earth. As well, surrender the shoulder blades, arms, and hands downward to the pull of gravity. And gently anchor the bottom tips of the shoulder blades inward toward the spine. And you should feel your elbows drawing in against your rib cage as you take that action. And then feel into the nature of the earth below you. Feel the gravitational pull, the embrace of our Mother Earth. And consider for a moment the ways in which you are nurtured and cared for by our Mother Earth. From the strength, stability, and nurturing quality of the earth, we then work off of that opposing energy of the limbs, descending down And begin to pull upward from the contracted pelvic floor muscles of Mula Bandha. And then vertebrae by vertebrae, pulling inward and lifting upward from the tailbone and sacrum up through each vertebrae of the spine, lifting toward the sky. The crown of the head reaching up into the sky. And our awareness coming in contact with the Purusha, with the divine masculine, pure, unmanifested energy of the universe. Feeling into the vastness of the space all around you. And then allowing your awareness to kind of float back down and settle into your heart space, into the residing place of the Jivatma. It's said that the Anahata chakra, the heart center, at its very center is a single unwavering flame shining in the darkness of our interbeing. Illuminating us from the inside, helping the awareness to see, helping us to witness all of the ways that we are strong and vital and healthy, resilient, awakened, as well as all of those places that are still needing our attention and our care through the practice of yoga. All the places that are vulnerable, perhaps are injured or ill. And it's through that awareness that we can set our intentions of how we want to use this practice to nourish and nurture those places that are in need of our care. And with intention set, we will then turn our awareness to the breath, witnessing the vital life force energy coming into the body on the vehicle of the breath. Big, deep, slow inhalation, filling the lungs up from the bottoms of the lungs all the way up to the top. As we do so, the abdomen expands outward, the ribs expand outward. At the end of the inhalation, the collarbones will rise upward. And as we release the breath, we release the waist. The collarbones are drawn down, the ribs squeezing inward toward the center. And at the end of the exhale, the belly is pulled backward toward the spine. Every breath in this way, fully expanding on the inhale and completely contracting and emptying on the exhale. Further, we can engage the muscles in the back of the throat to narrow the airway and make that audible ocean sound with the breath. Breathing in and out through the nose. Ujjayi pranayama. Setting the tone, setting the rhythm for our practice. Every exhalation, while we simultaneously cleanse and purify by eliminating the waste, we can also Imagine that we're sending the prana into our places of vulnerability, illness, or injury. And now we'll shift our hands to Anjali Mudra, prayer position in front of the heart. And we'll sing our invocation to the great sage Patanjali, singing our humble gratitude and praises, as well as singing the praises of the practice of yoga and all of the benefits that are arising from our dedication to it. So we'll begin with a deep breath in to chant the Patanjali invocation. Yogena chitasya padena vasham malam sharira chuchavai jakenya yopa karutam pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranjalir anatosmi Abahu Purushu Karam Shankachakrasi Dharinam Sahasra Shirasham Shvetam Pranamami Patanjali. Oh. Please enjoy a swallow in your throat. And then when you're ready, gently let the eyes come back open. Namaste. And then if you have put the belt around your legs and around your back, you can take that off now and set it aside. And then we'll extend our legs out in front of us, giving the legs a little bounce or wiggle. Perhaps you want to pat your legs or massage them. Particularly, maybe you want to massage around the hips and the knees. Maybe you want to massage around your ankles too, if they were feeling sensitive from sitting in Sukhasana. And then we're going to return back to Sukhasana for another bit of time. But this time we'll recross our legs in the opposite way. So bringing the opposite leg in first and returning to your Sukhasana pose with ankles flexed, toes pointing forward. And then the hands will rest onto the knees. Dropping the chin down into Jalandhara Bandha. We'll also engage Mula Bandha by squeezing and lifting the pelvic floor muscles. Holding our focused attention to the Manipura chakra in the belly. Charging up the power center. Filling that Manipura with prana as we breathe a few cycles of breath. And with our next inhale, a lift of the chin all the way up to the sky. Opening our awareness to Vishuddhi, the throat center, and to our capacity to use our sense perceptions, staying present, observant, so that our wisdom is growing with every moment, with every experience in our practice. Holding our intentions as a guiding light in front of us. We'll inhale now, bring the head back to a neutral position to look straight ahead. And then exhale and float the chin back down into the notch between the collarbones. Inhaling, a slow roll of your chin across the right chest. And at the end of the breath, look up and back behind the right shoulder. Exhale, roll the chin down through the right chest back to the center. Inhaling, roll across the left chest, and at the end of the breath, look up and back. And then exhale, roll the chin down through the left chest back into the center. Inhaling, our gaze will lift to look straight ahead again. Interlace fingers, turn the palms away from your chest and push straight out in front of you. Excuse me. Now we're moving our warm-ups into the shoulder joints. Inhaling, arms will rise. Lifting and lengthening from the grounded pelvis, hips and legs. Up, stretching up through the side bodies, through the palms of the hands. Exhaling, unlace those fingers, float them down to shoulder height. And with your inhalation, roll the shoulders up and to the back. External rotation. Exhaling, roll the shoulders down and in for internal rotation. One more time, back and forth. Inhale, roll up and back. And exhale, roll down and in. And then our arms will come down and behind us, interlacing the fingers again with the opposite fingers on top. Reach down and back behind you. And then with an inhale, lift the arms away from your back. And I'll turn sideways so that you can see what that looks like. So the ears remain directly over the shoulders over the hips. Keep lifting the arms up and away. Stretching the front of the shoulders and all across the chest. And then exhaling, we can release the arms and bring them forward. Okay, we're going to change our position now to our tabletop position. So if you were on your blanket, you can set that aside for the time being and come on to all fours. Wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips, tops of the feet on the floor behind your knees. Press strongly down through the palms of the hands and spread the fingers wide. Press down through the tops of all 10 toes and try to spread your toes wide. Then inhaling, begin to tip the pelvis forward and down, swaying the spine as you inhale, rolling the movement up. The last thing to move is the neck as you look up. Exhaling, we tip the pelvis toward the back. Draw the pubic bone toward the navel, rolling the movement up the spine. Again, the last thing to move is the neck, and then you look back. So the inhales, rolling the spine into cow pose. And the exhales, arching the spine, rolling it up into cat pose. Let's do 2 more rounds of this. At the pace of the rhythm of your breath, matching the movement to your long, deep Ujjayi pranayam. So that there should be the slightest little pause in the movement as you reach the top of the inhale and the bottom of the exhale. And And then now we'll inhale and bring our spine back to a neutral position. Let's draw the knees and the sides of the big toes together. And then flex at the hips and the knees, dropping the buttocks down onto the heels, and then fold the torso right over the top of the thighs, reaching the hands toward the front of the mat. And then drop the forehead down onto the earth. If your forehead will not make it all the way down, you can either draw your folded blanket underneath your forehead, or perhaps you can grab one of your yoga blocks and place it under your forehead. And just spend a few breaths here in Utthita Garbhasana, extended child's pose. It's a marvelous way to stretch the spine, get movement and flexibility in the shoulders, flexion of the hips, and also an awareness of how to move the back ribs as you're breathing, because the front ribs are compressed. We get a nice abdominal massage in this posture as well. Next inhale, rise slowly back up into your tabletop position, reestablishing your wrists directly underneath your shoulders, and knees will spread apart to hip distance apart again. I'm going to turn sideways once again so you can get a side view. Next, we'll inhale, curling the toes under, and lift the hips up into Adho Mukha Svanasana pose. And with your inhalation, let's bend into the right knee and press down into the left heel and hip. And then switch sides, straighten the right knee, bend the left knee, pushing down into the right heel and right hip. And then let's bend both knees, tipping the buttock bones upward toward the sky as we flex in the knees. Then with an exhalation, straighten the knees and lower the heels toward the floor or down onto the floor for a full expression of Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog pose. We contract the front thigh muscles, try to roll the inner upper groins back. The shoulder blades are descending down the back body toward the pelvis, and the bottom tips of the shoulder blades wrap inward toward the spine. We externally rotate the shoulders, anchor down into the base of the thumb and the base of the forefinger. Inhaling now, shift your gaze to the front of your mat, and then walk your feet up towards your hands, coming into Uttanasana. And if you can easily touch the floor and have straight knees, you can hook your peace fingers around your big toes and pull up on the toes as you push the toes into the fingers. If, however, you have to bend your knees in order to touch the floor, this is where you're wanting to use your yoga blocks, placing the blocks in front of your feet. And you can stack the blocks if you need to bring them up higher for your standing forward bend posture, whatever you may need. A couple more breaths in the pose. We want to lengthen the spine on the inhale and explore the sage edge of the posture on the exhale, seeing if it's at all possible to tip the pelvis a little more, descending a little deeper into the pose. On the inhalation now, we'll lift halfway up. Bring the hands onto your upper hip bones. Exhale, pausing here. Press down through the feet. Inhale and rise the rest of the way up to come up to standing. And we'll take just a moment in Tadasana. Standing nice and strong in your Tadasana pose. The feet will be hip distance apart. The outer edges are parallel to each other. We engage the front thigh muscles, pushing them toward the center and rolling those inner groins toward the back, like you've learned with the block between the legs. We lift Mula Bandha at the base and rise up through the spine. The shoulder blades are descending and wrapped in toward the spine, and the upper arm bones externally rotate in the shoulder joints. Just another breath or two, standing strong in Tadasana. And now let's reach down, releasing Tadasana. We'll take a yoga block and place that block just to the outside of your right ankle. Bend into the knees and then step out to your left. So we're pivoting open. And I'm going to turn to the front so you can see what that looks like. So my block is to the outside of my right ankle, and those toes should be facing directly toward the front of your mat. The left leg has opened out to the side, and the left foot should be angled slightly inward so that it's inward toward the forward foot that's to the inside of the block. And if we have a proper alignment, the heel of the front foot should be in a straight line with the instep of the left foot. Okay. The pelvis and shoulders have a tendency to be angled slightly toward the right, but we want to shift the pelvis and shoulders so that they're going to be facing the long edge of your yoga mat. So we're prepping for Utthita Trikonasana, or triangle pose. With an inhale, arms will go out to shoulder height. Exhaling, bump your left hip toward the left and reach the right ribs out over the right leg, and then drop your right hand down to the block and lift the left arm up to the sky so that the arms are in a nice straight line. In this posture, we're looking to have one hip stacked on top of the other so that it is true a side bending pose, rather than allowing the pelvis to turn toward the earth and look more like this. So we're looking to draw the right buttock bone forward and the left front upper hip bone back toward the back, opening up this left groin. The right side of the rib cage is spinning toward the front of the body. And the gaze is going to turn and look up at your left thumb. Using the breath to go methodically, strategically, breath by breath, exploring the sage edge of this posture. To release the pose, engage Mula Bandha. On your inhalation, lift straight up out of the pose, and then lower the arms. Then take the arms out to the side once again. Turn your gaze to look out over your right fingertips. And then keeping the torso in a nice upright position, the only thing that will change now is to bend the right knee, dropping into Virabhadrasana 2. Okay, Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. The knee should be stacked directly over your ankle so the lower leg bones are perpendicular to the earth. The arms are parallel to the earth. The shoulder blades draw down and into the spine. We want to press down into the base of the right big toe and the outer heel of the left foot. Pull the front ribs in towards each other. Squeeze in the core. And then we'll inhale and straighten that knee, lower the arms. Let's take one more pose to this side before we switch position. So we'll inhale again, take the arms out to the side, Now we'll bend that right knee again and bend the right elbow and side bend, resting the forearm on the thigh. Sweep the left hand down around and out beyond your head, reaching out to the horizon. And if you want to give it a try, this right hand could lower down to the block that's outside of your ankle. And you can explore, perhaps that block can lower to a lower level. And maybe the next lower level down, it is also possible to bring the right hand all the way to the floor. The gaze can either be straight ahead to the ceiling or to the palm of your left hand. To release this pose, we press in through the feet, engage Mula Bandha, inhale and rise back up. Great. And then we can step back, taking our block with us, step back to Tadasana. And now the block can go to the outside of our left ankle. And again, I'm going to switch my position. We'll step out with our right foot this time and do that series of postures on this side. All right. So again, now left toes are facing out the short edge of your mat, the block outside your left ankle. The right foot is angled inward, and again, lining it up so the heel of the left foot is in a straight line with the instep of your right foot. The pelvis and shoulders should be facing directly toward the long edge of your yoga mat. Arms go to the side. And now we'll bump that right hip out, stretch out the left ribs over that left leg, and drop your hand down to the block, the right arm rising to the sky. And then refining the posture. The left buttock bone draws forward. This right front upper hip bone pulls up and away from the groin. The left side of the ribs are spinning around toward the front of the body. Our gaze is up to the right thumb, anchoring into the base of the left big toe and the outer right heel. Try to lengthen the spine. Beautiful side bending triangle pose. To release the pose, we press into the feet, engage the legs, lift Mula Bandha, and then inhale and come right up out of the posture. Lower the arms. We'll take a breath. Next inhale, arms go to the sides again. And then bend the left knee, stacking that knee directly over your ankle. Turn the gaze to look over your left fingertips, pressing down into the base of the left big toe, the outer right heel. We're working to try and move that bent knee back to open up the left hip. Pull the front ribs together. Send the shoulder blades down the back body and inward toward the spine. Feeling the heart open. Next inhale, we'll straighten that left knee, lower the arms. And then one more posture on this side. Inhale, arms go to the sides. We'll exhale, bend that left knee again. Bend the left elbow and side bend, resting the forearm on the thigh. The right arm sweeps to the floor around and out beyond our head. The bent knee again, like the previous pose, we're trying to move it toward the back. The left side of the ribs are spinning forward. The gaze goes either straight ahead, up to the sky, or to the palm of the right hand. And again, if you want to, you can maybe lower your hand to the block outside your ankle. Pressing down again into the base of the left big toe, the outer right heel. Breath continuing, flowing slowly in and out. Ujjayi pranayam. With the next inhale, we'll rise up and out of the posture and lower the arms. And then we'll take our block with us and step back once again to Tadasana. All right. Let's try Warrior One pose as well. We've done a lot of external hip rotation. Warrior One pose works on internal hip rotation. So we want resiliency going both ways. So our hands will come onto our hips. The weight of the body will go into the left foot. Pick up the right heel and slide the right foot in a straight line back, just as far back as you can comfortably go. The right toes will turn out to the side just slightly, and then we set that right heel down as we flex into the left knee, stacking that knee directly over the left ankle. We want to draw back on the left hip crease to steer the hips to face directly forward. As well, the inner groins of the right leg are rolling in and back, again, to try and take the whole pelvis and steer it to turn directly forward. That's that internal hip rotation action that I'm talking about. The arms come down, externally rotate the shoulders, and with an inhale, the arms will rise up overhead so that the palms are facing toward the back. Again, the shoulder blades are drawn down and in. The front ribs are pulled in toward the center. And if you like, you can even take your gaze up. Nice and slow with the breath. Warrior poses are strengthening, they're heating poses. When we're releasing this posture, we inhale and straighten the left knee. Then lower the arms and transfer the weight to the left foot and step back to Tadasana. Hands go to the hips and we'll take the posture to the opposite side now. So the weight goes into the right foot. We pick up the left heel and slide that foot back just as far as we can, turning the toes out, just a slight turn out so that they're facing the front right corner of your mat. The left heel comes down as we bend into the right knee. The right hip crease now is pulling back. The left inner groin muscles are rolling inward. Okay, and then arms come down. Externally rotate the shoulders. Inhale, arms rise up. Shoulder blades drop down and in. We're pulling those front ribs into the center and lifting Mula Bandha. Again, if you like, the gaze can turn upward toward the sky. The more we anchor down into the base of the right big toe and the outer left heel, the more stability we have in our legs to hold us strong in this posture. Next inhale, straighten that right knee. Lower the arms. Transfer the weight to the right foot and step yourself back to Tadasana. Right. Fantastic. Let's take a couple rounds now of Surya Namaskar. And as you all have come to know, I really love to start these Surya Namaskar flows with the chanting of the Gayatri mantra. So we can all stand strong in Tadasana, hands in Anjali Mudra, and take a deep breath to begin. Om Bhur-bhuva svaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodaya. With an exhale, the arms will lower down to your sides into Tadasana. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. palms together at the top and look at your thumbs. Exhale, float forward into Uttanasana, touching the earth, even if you have to bend your knees. Inhale, hands go to the legs, lift halfway up, Urdhva Uttanasana. Exhale, bend the knees, place the hands shoulder width apart, and then step yourself back to a high push-up. I'm going to transition to a new view for you. High push-up. Exhaling, take the knees down and tops the feet down. Bend your elbows, lowering your pelvis, belly, chest, and then your chin. Keep the elbows tight to the ribs and press the pubic bone to the earth. Inhale and begin to lift your chest up off of the floor. Then engage your arms and rise up as much as you're able into Bhujangasana without lifting your pubic bone off the floor. Exhale and ease yourself back down. Inhaling, the toes will curl under. Lift yourself up through tabletop and then lift the hips to the sky, moving into Adho Mukha Svanasana pose for a few breaths. Nice and slow, deep Ujjayi Pranayam. Engaging the front thigh muscles, opening up the backs of the knees, tipping the pelvis forward as the pubic bone reaches through the thighs toward the tailbone, lifting the buttock bones upward toward the sky. And then inhaling, look forward to the front of your mat. Step the feet up to your hands. Exhale and lower into your forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, arms go to the sides and come all the way up. Palms come together at the top. Exhale, lowering the hands back down to your heart. And we'll take another round of Surya Namaskar, one more. Exhale, lower the arms. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. Exhale, float forward into Uttanasana. Inhale, Urdhva Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees, place your palms shoulder width apart. Step back to high push-up. Then with your exhale, lower the knees and tops of the feet to the mat. Bend your elbows, lowering the pelvis, belly, chest, and then your chin. Press the pubic bone down, anchor the pinky toes down, and rise up into Bhujangasana. Exhaling, release back to the floor. Toes curl under, inhaling, lift through tabletop, and then hips rise up to the sky again. Adho Mukha Svanasana pose. And slow, deep breaths as you refine this posture breath by breath. Keep spreading wide through the fingers and toes, making sure you have a very strong, stable base. The arms are externally rotated in the shoulder joints. The shoulder blades are drawing toward the pelvis, and the bottom tips of the shoulder blades anchor inward toward your spine. You can also engage Mula Bandha in this posture. Next, inhale. Let's look to the front of our mat and step the feet just halfway up towards your hands and cross your ankles. And then we're just going to bend into the knees and ease ourselves back down onto the mat and extend the legs out in front of you. Okay, so as you arrive here in this pose, Dandasana, check in with your backs of your legs, your hips, and your lower back. If you have any discomfort in any of those areas, This is another place where you can take your yoga blanket with the folded edge facing forward and just tuck that up underneath your buttock bones. Okay, and that will just take a little bit of the flexion out of your hip joints, give you a little bit more room so you can find some comfort in Dandasana. Let's also take a hold of our yoga belt. Okay. Take one end of your yoga belt and put it right around the widest part of your feet, bringing the tails back towards your body, and then reach your arms down the belts towards your feet. But even though you're reaching the arms forward, we're also going to release the shoulder blades in the back body down and in toward the spine. So we feel that our heart is nice and open here. Preparing for Paschimottanasana. With your inhalation, press off of the legs and off of those buttock bones on the folded edge of the blanket. With your exhale, begin to fold right at the hips, keeping a nice, long, straight spine as you come forward. If you can go a lot further down, you might roll your hands down around your belt as you get closer to your feet, or you could inch your way up the belt. Maybe some of you will actually be able to reach your feet, and if so, you can take your peace fingers and hook them around your big toes, much like we did in Uttanasana earlier. I'm going to turn to the side, just keep working in this posture. Turning to the side, what you want to avoid in this pose is this kind of action where you can see my back is rounded. Rather, we want to pull those shoulder blades down the back. The flexion is happening just at the hips. It's like folding a hardcover book. A hardcover book, the binding does not bend like this, right? So keep nice long spine and fold just at the hip joints. Keep the heart open and moving towards your ankles. Next, inhale, lift your gaze, extend your arms out and rise up out of this posture. Then exhaling, float your hands down. Very good. Okay, I'm going to turn back around to face you now. And let's bring our soles of our feet together. Just going to adjust my blanket here. Bringing the soles of the feet together. And we'll bring the feet in as close to the perineum as we can comfortably do. Then interlace the fingers and slide those interlaced fingers underneath your feet. Now, if for whatever reason that is uncomfortable for you, a few things can happen with your props. Again, you can fold your blanket another fold to lift your pelvis up a little bit. That's number one. Number two is you might also use your yoga blocks. Again, placing the blocks underneath the thighs to give yourself that support. And if you find that you're having to sort of hunch over to reach your hands around your feet, another option is to take your yoga belt and hook the belt underneath your feet and then kind of wrap the belt around your hands so you have a good grip on it. And then you can pull up on the belt to really get that sense of elevation up through your spine. The bent knees in this posture are moving downward toward the earth and back behind you, if at all possible. This is called Baddha Konasana. So let's engage the posture for a few cycles of breath. We're pulling up on the feet, either with the hands or the belt around the feet, and equally pressing down with the knees and back toward the back. The sacrum at the back of your pelvis is gently moving forward as the hips open. Shoulder blades wrapped around your spine, the heart open. You may also want to lift your gaze up toward the sky in this posture. Beautiful pose for opening the pelvic floor, stretching those pelvic floor muscles, stretching the hip joints, strengthening the core as you lift the torso up. And then let's exhale and release the tension of this posture. Take the hands to the outer knees and just draw the knees up toward the center line. Nice. And then extend your legs out to the front. Great. Okay. Let's take one more seated posture. We're going to flex the ankle of the left foot strongly and anchor down the inner calf of that left lower leg. Then bend the right knee, bringing the sole of the right foot onto the floor with a little space between the inseam of your left thigh and the instep of your right foot. The right hand is going to come behind you, the fingers pointed away from you, and the heel of the hand about 8 or 10 inches away from your pelvis. Press down off the buttock bones, lift the spine, inhale the left arm up, and then with an exhale, twist the torso toward your thigh. And then if you're able to, drop your left elbow to the outside of your right knee. And if that is uncomfortable, you can wrap your arm around the front of the knee. Okay, so keep that flexion in the left ankle, the inner calf rounded. Whether your elbow is around the knee or elbow flex with fingers to the sky, we're going to press against that elbow on the knee to encourage a deepening of this twist into Marichyasana 3. So every inhalation, we want to press up, lift, and lengthen the spine up. And every exhale, see where we can deepen the twist, looking as far behind your right shoulder as your body will allow. One more breath here, and on the next exhale, begin to release the twist, turning back around, facing forward once again. And then we'll extend that right leg out. Flex the right ankle, anchor down the right inner calf, and then bend the left knee, bringing that foot up toward the pelvis. Again, we want a little space between the inseam of the thigh and the instep of your left foot. Left hand goes behind you. Heel of the hand about 8 or so inches away from you. The right arm will rise. And then we want to twist toward the left, dropping the elbow to the outside of the knee, or again, wrapping the arm around your knee. Either way. We want to press into the hand, the buttock bones, the inner calf of the right leg, and elevate up as we inhale. Exhaling, twisting to the left. Inhaling, lifting up. Exhaling and exploring the edge of the twist. Never going to a place of pain, never to a place where the breath is erratic. Just breathing and exploring the edge of the twist. With your next exhale, a slow release of the posture, turning back around, facing forward, and then extending your left leg back to Dandasana. Okay, let us come down onto our back now. So if you're on your folded blanket, the blanket can be set aside. And we're going to set a yoga block just to the outside of our left hip. So lying down on your back with the knees bent. And like I said, a block just to the outside of your left hip. Both palms of the hands are going to be on the mat outside of your hips, the shoulder blades drawn strongly downward toward your pelvis and anchored inward toward your spine. So we're moving to a pose called Setu Bandhasana or bridge pose. So I want you to tip your pelvis so that the pubic bone in the front of the pelvis is lifting upward towards your navel. This is going to press the small of your back down onto the mat. Then press through your feet and legs and lift your bottom straight up off the mat while keeping your knees in line with your hip joints. Reach for that block and slide it up underneath your sacrum. And then just rest your sacrum right down onto the block. And we'll take 3 breaths here. 1, 2, and 3. Now, try to tip the pelvis again, pubic bone rising towards your navel. Press into your feet and legs and see if you can lift your pelvis up again and perhaps bring your yoga block to the next higher level up. If you can't do that, that's fine. Just stay at the level that you are at. Elongate through your neck as if you can press the crown of your head way far back behind you. Keep the knees in line with your hip joints. Keep that feeling of drawing the pubic bone upward towards your navel to make space in your lower back for this back bending posture. We're going to try one more time to see if maybe some of you might be able to lift up a little higher to come to the highest level of your block. So once again, we'll tip the pelvis again, pubic bone rising up towards your navel. Tip the pelvis. Press through your legs. Press the arms down into the mat. See if you can lift your bottom up. Maybe you can even come up on your tippy toes and then lift the block to the next highest level if you are able. If not, just stay at the level you are. That's perfectly fine. Not everybody's body is able to take a deep back bend, and that's totally fine. You just go to where you can go comfortably without pain. If you have any serious illness in your spine, this is not recommended. Keep elongating the neck. Keep the breath moving long, slow, and deep. Knees straight out from your hip joints. Next inhale, press through the feet, lift your bottom off the block, and we'll take the block out from underneath us now and slowly, slowly roll your spine back down onto the mat. Once the sacrum comes onto the mat, then you can draw one knee at a time up and extend the leg of the opposite leg. Pull one knee down and into your belly and chest. And then release that leg and draw the opposite knee up into your chest. And then You can pick both knees up, draw them both into your chest and give just a little rock from side to side. Nice. And then center back into the center. Slowly let your feet come down onto the floor. And then slide your legs all the way out into Shavasana. The legs will go rolled out to the sides from the hip joints. Relax your legs and your buttocks and your pelvis. Relax your belly. If you're finding that your low back is feeling uncomfortable in this position, you can get your blanket, roll your blanket into a little roll, and then tuck that rolled blanket underneath your knees. And then take your Shavasana this way, and that will release some of that tension out of your lower back. Okay. Let the arms come away from your body slightly, turning the palms to face the sky. Soften your jaw. Let the tongue rest in the bottom of the mouth, away from the upper palate. Release the eyeballs back in the orbits of the skull. Shoulder blades drawn down toward the pelvis. The arms and the backs of the hands heavy, sinking. And guide your awareness into the center of your chest. Back to the Anahata chakra. And to the center of the Anahata, where we find that single unwavering flame. Holding your attention to the radiant light of that single unwavering flame. If you find your mind wandering, you can further anchor your mind by using a mantra. So on the in-breath, you can chant so hum. And on the out-breath, silently chanting hung sa. So hum in breath, I am that. Hung sa on the out breath, that I am. And we'll rest here in Shavasana and corpse pose for another few minutes, using the mantra to anchor the mind into a singular focus. Bringing the mind back to that focus if it wanders off into thinking. Gently guide your mind away from the mantra now and back to the body resting on the earth. Observe your bones and your joints. Feel the muscles that surround your bones. Notice the digestive organs in your belly, organs of elimination in your pelvis, the heart and lungs in your chest, and the brain in your head, and the spinal cord going down your spine. As you initiate movement, recognize that movement begins with a thought, with a desire that translates into electrochemical impulses that help you to wiggle your fingers and toes and then roll your wrists and ankles. What a marvel this body is. And then stretch in ways that feel really good to you, doing what feels perfect. And then eventually, when you feel ready, roll yourself over to the right side of your body if you're comfortable doing so. If not, go to the left. And just take a moment or two curled up in the fetal position. In this sweet transition out of corpse pose back to life through this infancy stage of child fetal position. When you're ready, keep the eyes closed. Press into the floor with your hands and lift yourself back up to a cross-legged seated position once again. And if you need to, of course, you can draw a blanket underneath your buttock bones for comfort. And as you settle into this cross-legged seated position, we'll once again draw our hands into Anjali Mudra in front of the heart. Taking a moment to reflect on our practice and what we may have learned from our experience. How have we grown our wisdom? And how did the yoga support your sankalpa, your intention for today? And we will finish our practice with the chanting of the mantra Om 3 times. This beautiful, simple mantra said to represent the vibration of all of creation as it rolls out, unfolding endlessly in this eternal moment now. So we'll engage our Mula Bandha, engage our Jalandhara Bandha. Take a deep breath in to begin our 3 chants of Om. Again, we'll enjoy a swallow in our throats. And as you're ready, the eyes will gently come back open. Namaste. All right, I hope you all enjoyed this video of intermediate mat yoga. And I look forward to seeing you as soon as I can. All right, until then, be well, keep practicing, and I'll see you soon.